Sometimes you have to become the leader that you wish you had and become the leader that you want to be. And you have to lead by example more than by anything what you say. Because really, words, though they do matter, they're not nowhere near as important as the quality of your actions. If you can give an honest, devoted effort to whatever it is you're doing, and really be willing to learn something new, when you know that this is a learning curve for you, when you know that not everything that is going on is going your way, that's when you know what you're really capable of and what you're truly destined to become. Nobody wants to be with an indecisive leader. If you are indecisive in your own life, you're likely not going to be around very decisive people. And if you're incapable of choosing a path and committing to a path that focuses on bettering your life in all aspects, realms, and dimensions, if you're not committed to those things, you're not going to be surrounded by the people that you want to be surrounded by. And you may want to be leading by example in other ways, but if you're not making the actions to do so, you're not going to get very far. You're not going to get to where you want to go. People want you dumbed down. People want you to not be your best version of yourself because that makes them feel insecure or insignificant or even perhaps minuscule in their ambitions in life. And sometimes just the ability to keep going is what's most important. It's not always about knowing what you're doing all the time. I don't know what I'm doing most of my life. I haven't known what I'm doing most of my life. I just more often than not do what comes most naturally to me. And there were times, yes, when I was not listening to myself and I was not listening to what my body was telling me. I was not listening to, I was not thinking with my mind. I was thinking with other things. And it got me somewhere I didn't want to be, really. And so in relationships especially, learning how to lead by example is going to be the determining factor in the quality of your relationships. If you are incapable of disciplining yourself, you're going to be surrounded by people that are not very disciplined, that are not well-rounded in their relationships, that are not wholesome. Does this make sense? I hope it does. So to be the leader that you never had, because we are in dire need of leadership in today's day and age. Leadership and discipline go hand in hand. You absolutely will not be able to help anybody and lead anybody if you're not disciplined yourself. And in order to be a leader, you have to have some kind of authority, right? Or you have to speak with authority. Wrong. That's not right. Authority is not the word that we need to be looking at in regards to leadership. It's conviction. Conviction is what determines the quality of the leadership process. If there is no conviction, do you think Genghis Khan would have been able to conquer everything that he did and to do everything that he had done if he wasn't convicted to do so? If he didn't have a strong sense of fire burning inside him to do so? Absolutely not. Now, I'm not saying we should model our lives after Genghis Khan. What I'm saying is that as a military leader, he was practically unstoppable. And he, for lack of a better term, penetrated most of everybody that he came into contact with in regards to his use of weaponry and military strategies and skills. He demolished them. So, and Alexander the Great is another great empire building person in history. I've been also reading the book War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy off and on for a while now, and there are bits and pieces where even though it's a fictional story, you know, it's not exactly real. It does have the equivalence, in my estimation, to the kind of literary works of the great classics, such as the Odyssey. So, to me, War and Peace, when it talks about these things, these qualities of leadership in life, specifically with Napoleon and how he behaved, it was very interesting how he behaved, because Leo Tolstoy was Russian, and he also, like, the book was set in a time that was like 50 or 60 years before Leo Tolstoy was alive. So, and this was like, the book set in 1805 to like 1812, something like that. And it talks about how Napoleon conquered land, and they actually have the characters conversating with Napoleon at certain points, and you get a little taste of what Napoleon's character was like. And of course, this is all fiction, right? This is not purely what happened, but it's very clear based off of how Tolstoy was writing it that he very much had a indication on what exactly was happening to and with Napoleon and all the people surrounding him, and how Napoleon was able to lead in certain ways. But one of the most interesting things about War and Peace, the book that I find most admirable and most unique in the writing style, is how empathetic that Leo Tolstoy is able to make you almost be compelled to care about the characters. There's so many different kinds of characters in this. Like, there's just so many different kinds of characters, and they're always bouncing back and forth between different kinds of characters and all of that. And their stories and their backstories and where this character's at now and where that character's at now. But they all of the characters have such a brief but impactful time in their life where they're able to really grow as characters, and then there are other times when they really fall, and it's not pretty. It's not a it's very hard to read at certain points because of how much you've learned about the character and then to see what happens to them. And this book is like 1,300 pages long, so there's a lot to go through in it. But my point is that the way that Tolstoy writes about the leadership in these characters, including Napoleon, really gives a bright indication and gives a unique understanding of human relationships and how they operate, generally speaking. So I highly recommend this book for anybody that's interested. It's I wouldn't say it's an easy read. It's definitely easier than like a textbook or anything like that. But it has the cadence of something very profound when you're reading it. Like it can be very simple, but it can be very powerful as well. And so going back to the main topic of how to be the leader that you wish you had, you have to create the version of yourself that you wish you could have admired when you were younger. There are times when I look myself in the mirror where I never would have thought I'd be the person that I am today. And I never would have thought that I would be who I am in this moment years ago. But I always knew that there was something that I had within me that wanted to do these kinds of things that I'm doing now. And to know that I've been able to practically forge my own path through blood, sweat, and tears is very fulfilling. And in that fulfillment of taking action, I am now at a point to where I know I still have a great deal to learn. I know that I'm not perfect, but I also know that I'm not trying to screw anybody into doing things that they don't want to do, which, based off of my life, that puts me ahead of about 70% of the population on Earth. So, with that being said, create the leader that you want to be. Create the version of yourself that you desire. And stay blessed.